Is there something that you've faced either in your career or in your life that has shaped who you are as a leader?
Decision making abilities at a leadership level, respecting swim lanes, is amazingly at a premium. Those who are able to make decisions with imperfect information and drive the teams to achieve is a very hard to find criteria.
Meet Rushi Potdar, Chief Medical Officer, VP of Global Medical Affairs, Oncology Business Unit at Takeda, an oncology surgeon turned pharma leader who believes AI should keep humans in the lead, not just in the loop.
How did you get involved in AI? Why is it a priority for you?
It amazes me every time I sit back and relax and think, wow, there's so much that can be done now that we have this tool. But there are still places where scientific nuances are missed and we have to be careful. And that's where I want us to show our human ingenuity or skepticism to ask more questions. AI has democratized the knowledge. That's great. How are we going to get better now that you have more time to put in your executive functions to work?
How do you get them to that place? You can tell somebody, be skeptical, because I know it's a problem that a lot of leaders face. How do you create that behavior?
The first step to do that
Accelerator podcast. I'm your host, Jake Herway, managing partner of healthcare innovation at Value Ad Group. I'm joined today by Rushi. Hi, Rushi.
Hello.
Thanks for coming. Tell me just quickly a little bit about yourself by way of introduction.
So my name is Rushi. I'm the Chief Medical Officer for Takeda Oncology based in Cambridge. And I had the fortune to go to the same grade school that Jake went to. Go Duke, go Fuqua. I think I have my Fuqua thing back there. Maybe I should pull it into the camera. Yes, and I've been in the pharma industry, many different roles, a few different companies for 15 years now. I'm an oncology surgeon by training. And like many of you, I'm on the, not the technology side of AI, but more on the user or end user side of technology and see where AI makes sense, how it's going to impact in a good way or in a strong way, all of our jobs, career, our impact on patients. So nice to meet you.
Oh, it's perfect, Rushi. I'm very excited. And thank you for connecting with me and with the group here and being a part of this journey. Fuqua has brought us together, obviously, but there's a lot more that we have to do together. I'm looking forward to diving in. So I'm curious, first of all, obviously, you say a physician by trade. What drew you to the industry and what is it that keeps you going?
What can I say? As an oncology surgeon, I was getting paid too much and I didn't know what to do. Let's go to, and of course, now, look, I was doing my whole area of expertise and interest was oncology surgery. I was doing a lot of GI procedures, many of them 5-6 hours a day, one procedure, see a few patients, go home, come back next day, do another procedure, maybe see a few. It started to get that assembly line type of work. And the advice I was getting, you're really good at this. Just do this one thing for a lifetime and you will be great. No, I wanted that breadth of impact versus just the depth. Surgeons, physicians do phenomenal job. They have the depth of impact on each and individual they touch, saving lives literally. But I thought I can put my talent to better work, better impact by also going for that breadth of impact. And what better place than industry to do that? The amount of resources available here to have that impact on patients, it's just phenomenal. And it's broad. One good trial that I helped design or one good product that I can bring to more patients can impact thousands and thousands in one go. And lastly, just the talented mind, the great pool of talented people that there are in the industry is amazing. Sometimes big pharma gets a bad rap for various reasons, political reasons, But every place I have worked in, it was always like, what can we do to make this better for patients? Obviously, there is a business side to it, but the opportunity to work with that huge pool of talent is unmatched, in my opinion, outside of industry.
I'll verify your opinion, Rushi. It's one thing that drew me to the industry and keeps me here is the people and their passion for making a difference, using their lives to do good. It resonates with my own values, but also just makes each day such a joy to work with people like you and the purpose-driven industry.
Every time I go to ASCO and if there is a standing ovation, I feel like, oh, I lived the moment. This is what people will talk about. I don't know, 20 years down the road, if people will, like a Hollywood movie, will they talk about it? But I feel like we moved the needle today. And being part of that community, whether it's researcher on the industry or institutional side, is what gives me joy.
You've experienced a lot. You've seen a lot. Is there something that you've faced either in your career or in your life that has shaped who you are as a leader?
Decision-making abilities at a leadership level and people respecting swim lanes is amazingly at a premium. So what I mean by that, I have had the fortune to work with some great leaders in my current and previous employer, and I can see that those who are able to make decisions with imperfect information and drive the teams to achieve is a very hard to find criteria. And then I have seen a lot of other leaders over the last 15 years who struggle to make decisions. And that also is another component of that is how we define teamwork. Sometimes, and I chuckle when I see that, sometimes I feel like teamwork is defined as you get into my job, I get into your job, and together we call it teamwork. That's not what teamwork is. Being a surgeon, I always like to think of surgical OR. Anesthetist has their job, surgeon has their job, and so does the circulating nurse has her job or his job. If we start getting into each other's job to call it a teamwork, anesthetist helping the surgeon and surgeon helping them, it will be a chaos. It's very important that I felt when I saw some good leaders implementing that, and that's what I try to emulate. Make decisions with whatever information you have. Some decision needs to be made, and then drive your impact through your what you can control and what swim lane you are in, so that overall we are success as a surgery or as an institution, what we are trying to do by doing our own individual jobs well. And it's everyone shouldn't have opinion about everything in every meeting. And the reason why we need Copilot now to keep us on track is partly because how corporate meetings run. And I think AI has a very good use there.
It's interesting, this dynamic, if I could go here for a minute. I obviously work with leadership teams. It's the core of what I do. These accelerators are bringing leaders in from across the industry. And what I find is most are trying to make the whole greater than the sum. And what you're saying is that when we are in our swim lanes and we sum the swim lanes, we do get a greater whole.
Right. The enterprise thinking is to make enterprise successful. 100% agreed. The first step to do that is to do your job, your functions, your capabilities well. That's your best contribution towards that enterprise thinking. Enterprise thinking or teamwork doesn't mean you get into my job, I get into everyone's job. Give opinions when needed, but other times, let's try to, and again, as I said, this goes back to my surgical training. Let's go and excel in what we are doing in our roles first. And I have seen that. I have seen some people who are just phenomenal. To your question, very early on, I was able to see a few people who drive, whether that's their regional performance or whether those are their clinical trials. They drive them so well. And you can see that whole team's performance is lifted because they are role modeling excellence in their own work first before involving into everything else.
Yeah, I've seen that before as well, Rushi. And the example set by excellence in your role and your function with respect for someone else's expertise and function and swim lane allows people, that example not only allows but also inspires people to want to emulate the same kind of excellence in their role. It's an interesting dynamic. I would love to spend more time on that when we have the chance, you and I, because of I would say the conflict with this idea that enterprise means I'm thinking about how everything works together, involved in decision-making all across the value chain. I've seen the same thing, however, that those without information, those without expertise, those without understanding can undermine a team as they try to play in swim lanes where they just frankly don't belong. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, we all have different examples in front of our head. We're just not trying to say those, right?
We don't want to get anybody in trouble, including ourselves, right? We do it ourselves. We think we know better sometimes when we just need to come with some humble curiosity as opposed to the answers for others.
One of my teammates once asked me, what do I think about something they were asking? They were one of my direct reports, and I asked them, I don't know. And they thought I'm saying, I don't know, as in I need more time. Like, I don't know. It's not my place to know. I shouldn't have to know. And I don't owe an opinion here. And they had a good chuckle after that. I don't, everything is not expected from one person. That's why there are different people. I'm not your leader for that particular point. It's not a part of my expertise.
And you can feel secure and confident in not knowing.
That's what medicine teaches you. That's one thing that medicine teaches you very well, when to pull somebody else.
Wow. Good insight, Rushi. And a little counterintuitive, which I appreciate very much. Usually if something's counterintuitive, I think we're closer to the truth. How did you get involved in AI? Or why is it a priority for you? Why do you even pay attention to it?
So even before the whole explosion through ChatGPT, there were places we used to just call it machine learning. If you remember, that was the word. And there were a lot of technical applications of those. I used to work on medical devices, and there was discussion about, can we inject a dye? And there are companies which are doing it. Before surgery, that will lit up the tumor, which will be seen through a camera. And we teach the camera and software to pick up, does the lymph node have malignant cells or not? Fairly straightforward value proposition. So, and we used to call it machine learning. But obviously with the ChatGPT, which made it a household name, that's where I got a lot more involved on the new AI, as we call it. And to be perfectly honest with you, I was dismissive of it for the first few months. And my yardstick was, I was telling some of my colleagues that, look, the day this thing will write poetry or songs, I will think it's real. You can't do that. Only humans can think of in that way. The higher function that's needed to write poetry is where it defines us human. And I was so wrong. 3 months down the road, it was writing songs and poems. So that's when I was like, oh, I need to think of it different. So it was a journey. I was not sold on it on day one. And even today, there are areas where I remain skeptical, but I'm open to constantly change my opinions and learn and adapt. When I saw the 6-month version of ChatGPT and what it could do, and other large language models, that's when I got very closely involved.
In your organization, you've role modeled this idea of being open-minded, teachable, changing your mind. Very difficult for humans to do. AI has forced many of us to rethink and re-examine how we work, but also what's important to us and what our value contribution is. As you've been in your CMO function, leading others alongside this AI revolution, what has most surprised you in your experience?
Yeah, I thought it would be very hard to get resources, to get the access to these tools. They were expensive. I was wrong. Most of the big corporations, big major work employers are awash with tools and resources for AI. In fact, to speak as a doctor, we are suffering from indigestion, not starvation. So that came as a surprise. I thought we'll have to, like any other resource, 5 years down the road, if you needed a new resource, you had to ask and write a business rationale. No, AI is coming down the pike. You can see the push versus pull, the push part very clearly in the dynamic here across many different employers. So that was a surprise. I thought it would be hard, turned out to be much easier. On the flip side of that, I thought we'll be much more skeptical as humans. about the output, about what we share with large language models, but we are not. I mean, many of us were reluctant to give our email while registering for something few years down the road. Many of us don't even like to share our zip code. And here we are on the consumer side, sharing our most intimate secrets and relationship discussions. I know people were getting relationship advice on one of the chatbots. So that was fast. And how we are trusting because this thing doesn't have a name or face. A lot of times when people are referred, they call it he or she. Like, no, that's not he or she. It's a, let's be careful who we think the AI is. It's still an entity and we are sharing a lot. And not just privacy, right? Privacy is one thing, it's subjective. Some people are more. But even for the outputs or scientific side, which involves my work, I want us to be a little bit more skeptical on what we are sharing and what's coming back and how much trust we put in. These models are great. They are improving every day. We know the famous thing they said that we are seeing the worst of the models. They're only going to get better. Yes, I get all of that. But there are still places where scientific nuances are missed and we have to be careful. And not just scientific. People are making slide decks and presentations for leadership. And I can see when a tech is met exclusively with AI versus putting human element into it, I can see the difference. And that's where I want us to be a little bit more show our human ingenuity or skepticism to ask more questions rather than just be accepting.
In the end, it's humans affecting humans. AI is just a tool in that process. You say you're able to see, it's not that if something's produced by AI, it's less valuable. But what I think you heard is you've seen presentations done with AI, but humans have put their judgment and value into it, and it's an improved and more trustworthy and reliable output versus one that's just generated with a click.
In fact, I want us to use for not just presentations, but whatever work outputs are. It is almost wrong not to use AI. I don't drive to work I don't ride a horse to the work. I take car. Technology has made it available, so why not use it? So we must use the whatever best technology tools are available for our day-to-day work. But there needs to be more than technology. The experience a person has from, let's say in my world, learning or leading one asset group, say solid tumors, and when they move to a hematological tumors, different disease states, but their experience, their knowledge shows up. And I want that still to be seen and visible in our discussions, in our expertise, and in our advice. And that's what I always look for. AI has democratized the knowledge. That's great. Now I want to see, now that that part is easier for you, how are we going to get better now that you have more time to put in your executive functions to work?
I like the way you said that. You have more time, thanks to AI, to use your human executive function. So how do you get them to that place? I mean, you can tell somebody, be skeptical. How have you, maybe it's the way you tell them, maybe, I don't know, but what's worked, what hasn't? Maybe nothing has, because I know it's a problem that a lot of leaders face. How do you create that behavior?
It's a work in progress, right? It's a lot of role modeling. I am in that journey. I'm not like anywhere completed my journey. When I use AI, I use it for my learning, my discussions with my team and others where laptop is off, phones are away. You'll never hear me saying, oh, I run this by ChatGPT. There's a lot more nuanced questioning. What do you think? How would it be different if it was a solid tumor? Just to give continuing on the same example. How would it be different if this was a late phase study but the competitor was not in play? That type of questioning, challenging is, I think, starts bringing the thoughts out. And also the expectations that I expect you to perform at that level, setting that expectations. There are some examples where my current team has done phenomenal job bringing an entire event which we used to give to the vendors. They brought it in house, developed the material completely using AI, saved hundreds of thousands of dollars to the company. Phenomenal example. That's where being fully AI. But then they were closely involved in the creation of material when it was put in front of 100 people and presented, it was a success because they put their individual thoughts in. Previously, it used to be a vendor. Now it's AI. And I want it only at that level. Previously, also, you would take the content from a vendor and still use your own experience. You run it by leadership. You get people aligned, get everyone's inputs. That's still happening. And as long as we stay true to some of that processes, rather than taking off the shelf insights or outputs from AI, I think we should be good.
What do you see as the biggest opportunity? And maybe it's a double click on what you just shared.
There is, how technology is always, they say, overappreciated in the short term and underappreciated in the long term. We're in that short term phase where AI will cure everything, right? We know it won't. But we are underappreciating, or at least people like me who are just getting there are underappreciating the long-term impact of this. So I see everything we know or I know about this industry, pharma, is going to change. Lots of opportunities. There is some of that is over appreciation. Somebody was asking me, do you think MSL role, medical science liaison roles, will they be eliminated, or basically field roles, will they be eliminated completely because of AI? I can know about what I can only foresee in the future. My view is AI can give you all the right answers, let's say. Can it ask the right questions? That's where the human ingenuity, human relationship, human connections come into play. Our MSL's medical science liaison team is out there answering questions from physicians, scientific questions from physicians or their staff. But they are also asking meaningful, nuanced questions that will benefit both. So that's where the long-term opportunity is. The way I like to divide that into is efficiency and efficacy. Efficiency, we're already getting. We are seeing phenomenal increase in our efficiency by using this AI tool, whether it is the meeting prep or creating the decks as we talked about, but also the event I mentioned that we could bring in fully in-house. Multiple examples where we are able to gain efficiency by taking these AI tools, basically saving costs and hopefully putting it to better use. There is good amount of opportunity further ahead for us on that. That's even that we are just at the beginning. Efficacy is, I think, where the long-term goal is. That's the long-term horizon that I would love for us to be there. Can we make the material, can we make the messaging so much better versus what a human only would have done, is where the trick is. And they say keep human in the loop. I don't even say that. I say keep human in the lead. Human, whether it's a message or a training deck created, the human has to lead it. But now can we make it efficacious that what took previously 15 minutes for us to deliver to a customer, can we deliver equally strong message in 5 minutes and then cover more physicians for educations or gaining insights? That's what I mean by efficacy. That, I think, is the next challenge, the next opportunity.
And well stated. Humans in the lead.
Not just in the loop, not human in the loop, humans in the lead.
Powerful. And that requires then the human to be at their best. We have to do the human work so that AI can work for us with humans in the lead. I love that. I should have consulted with you before I finished writing my book. Humans to the power of AI is good. Humans in the lead might be better. Well said.
It amazes me every time I sit back and relax and think, wow, there's so much that can be done now that we have this tool. I feel like the guy at the beginning of Industrial Revolution with steam power in the hand for the first time. Same on that efficacy note. By using all these tools, can we now take the drug, the medicine to 1,000 new patients who we could not? Can we move the needle on access, affordability, or even educating wherever the discrepancy in care where some of them are not treated in some of the best centers, and can we educate the caregivers there more so the latest and greatest is implemented for these patients more? Can we take these tools and reach out to next 1,000 patients who we could never? That would be the yardstick to measure the efficacy. And that's where I think we are not started that journey fully yet. That's the big blue sky in front of us.
Patient access, reach, and impact. You're right. Most of the conversation right now is efficiency. And if we were to say we're getting efficiencies so that we can scale, reach, accessibility, impact, patient impact, I think we would be able to galvanize a lot more adoption with that vision. Well said. All right. Well, look, the one thing I leave people with every podcast, same line of advice, because it is fundamental to that human work that I was talking about, that you were mentioning, that is essential for us to be humans in the lead. And that is to do one thing that scares you every day. Best advice I can give.
All right, you made me think. I'm going to think. I don't have to share the answer now here, right?
No, you don't. Unless you'd like to. It's simple advice. What I found is if we can focus just on one thing and it helps us overcome fear in some way, we become better at that. It's the main thing that blocks human progress, is that fear. So as we do one thing that scares us every day, we do the essential human work that keeps us in the lead.
Wonderful. Okay. If I get in trouble doing something tomorrow, that's on you.
You blame me, and I will take it with pride. Thanks for being with us today, Rushi.
Thank you. Very nice talking to you.